Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle Show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle Show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle Show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle Show. Yeah.
Okay, audio gods, please hear my prayers and don't F this up. All right, boys. Well, we're back. We have a full squad for today's Matthew and Rizzle show. It's the Matthew, Rizzle, and Johan show, technically. We got Johan of Marble Cards fame, meme in the house. We have Rizzle back from Lisbon, NFC Summit. Going to decompress, do a little reflecting on that. But yeah, where do we want to kick things off today? A lot to talk about.
I mean, it seems like what brought us here, Matt, you were not at NFC Summit. Johan and I were. Johan and I were like sort of running different circles out there, and Johan's been there 2 years ago. I was there last year, so like I don't know. It was a vibe. Interested to hear his take, and also your take from afar, Matt, because I don't know that you've ever been out there and everything. So. I don't know. I had a lot of shit going on, and Matt, your shit has been popping off. So I don't know. Maybe we can just do sort of like group decompression, Web3 therapy. But NFC Summit is a big one. Like whether you're out there or not, it's been like in my opinion at least, pretty like critical to the culture of the community that we all came up in and everything. So I don't know. I'd love to hear Johan's take on it. We brought him in as our special guest, and was out here with the sort of fresh eyeballs from years ago out in Lisbon.
Well, maybe we kick things off real quick because I know 2 years ago Johan and I were also at Lisbon or NFC Lisbon.
Oh,
together.
Thank you.
So
perfect.
Yeah. So like at that time, like I won't speak for Johan, but for myself, it was an amazing event. It was really, really well done. The conference itself, contained in the historic building on the hill, was beautiful, well run, interactive, engaging. A lot of artists were there. The vibes were very good. There were some sweet side events, brought a lot of great people together, and it just left a very good imprint on me. And then maybe that's the point at which Johan can go from there and then give the update based on that event, and then take us to present day. And then Rizzle, you can jump in, add color too.
Sounds good. No, I agree with you. The NFC 2 years ago was really, really good. And I think this one was as well. But I think there was a clear, and I was not there last year, but I think there was a clear difference in both in size, but also in like belief in the space kind of. Felt like a lot of people almost felt like they'd given up to some extent that what was before in terms of NFTs and art and the creative side of crypto, felt like a lot of people kind of doubted that that's going to come back in the same way. And I heard several people that were like, yeah, I'm going to have to go back to my Web2 job, or some artists that were going to have to go back to some galleries and so on. So a definitely different vibe, I would say.
Do you think a lot of those doubts that you heard creeping up in the conversation, is that more a function of just lack of liquidity flowing around like it was even a few years ago? It wasn't like it was pouring mana from the heavens, right? But it's a liquidity crunch that people are feeling, not necessarily lack of technical innovation or like more accessible tools and things like that.
Yeah, I think like number go up feeds excitement, sort of. Obviously, it pays people's bills so they can focus more on it, and it's just a feeling when the charts are going in the right direction. I think people get more energized.
Yeah, I can speak to this a little bit because I was there last year. So in between the two times that Johan was there, and the one year that neither of y'all were there. And last year had like really great vibe as well, but it also felt to me, even though the market was still like pretty stagnant, it still felt to me like we were on a cultural upswing at that point, or at least not a cultural downswing. And this year the event, like some of the things that like really stuck out to me last year were like Arthur's performance in the immersive room, Platonic Mind's performance in the immersive room. The immersive room was like much more immersive than the immersive room was this year. There was just like more screens and stuff in there to be immersed by and everything, and there was like there was just more of like a lot of that, like I want to say little things, but they're not really little things, especially when you add them all together, that weren't there this year. That felt like this year was just sort of like almost like an exercise in like keeping it culturally alive rather than trying to push it uphill. Whereas I don't know, last year it still felt like even though people weren't really making money, like yeah, it doesn't seem like this is the conference that attracts the speculators and the people who are like really making a shitload of money out here. Like this one really, which is why I went back, felt like very culturally relevant last year, and this year too. But it did feel like man, it felt like the people are really keeping the culture alive at this part, like collectively, but like on like an independent level and collectively. And I don't know, it's hard to know where it goes from here. What was your take from the outside, Matt?
Um, it looked like group therapy. That's probably like my high level take. Like it
Probably a
really did.
great synopsis. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. And there were good vibes and smiles on faces, but it definitely felt like, all right, we're here all together. Let's try to raise the spirit quotient of everyone here by trying to forget all the negative. That was like my view from afar. I saw folks dancing on stage and I was like, oh, is this going to be viewed cringe or like positively in the feed? And it was the latter. The dance moves were pretty in sync. So I think that helped. Brinkman was there. I think there was like some parachute party situation
Yeah,
going on,
Brinkman's
and
thing was good.
that looked pretty fun. But it really did look like a big group therapy event. I didn't see so much like art or anything like that, as opposed to folks just genuinely trying to have a good time. So that was the part that I was personally interested in. So it's like, okay, I can see these big group activities, big stage. I saw some bigger screens that were interactive. I think Neurocolor's work may have been on one of those that were broadcast on the feed, and it looked like if you kind of touch the screen, it just had an interactive uh, effect on it. But I'm curious, like with the actual conference itself, any strong positives from there in terms of any of the talks that may have happened, any of the event booths that were popped up. I know NFT Studios was over there, like you and Babachi and NFT Studios, a bunch of other folks were there. But like, how was boots on the ground at the actual conference like outside of the vibes?
Well, there, there were some cool on the Brinkman one was really cool. For example, um, I personally one of the days was MemeCon, so I spent a lot of time there. I think that was pretty good. I felt like the sort of feeling there was most people were hoping that we're going to go back, move away from the very extractive sort of pump and dump environment that's been in the market now for a while and go back to like the OG memes and care about the culture and so on. So that was nice. But in terms of like other things that generally excited me outside of meeting bunch of artists and stuff. I nothing really comes to mind. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Matt's like characterization of group therapy is like probably pretty accurate. And dude, honestly, I feel like I feel like it came at a good time, what was needed. Maybe I'm, just sort of projecting here. But it is like a really weird time in the space where a lot of people have been, obviously like demoralized. And the conference floor felt kind of weird. Honestly, it felt like a very strange, like, combination of like anyone who like maybe threw down enough coin to get a booth out there and everything. No disrespect, Johan, because I was like fucking around Johan's booth as well and everything. But it was sort of like and also this didn't seem like the crowd that's like there for that too. So there was like a weird disconnect. I wasn't there for a lot of the on stage kind of stuff. I don't even know what Matt's talking about with the dancing thing. There's a art block thing in the evening that was like I don't know, like kind of weird. A lot of the but I don't go for that kind of stuff anyway. And the reason that I do go to these things is more for what like Johan is saying. It's like to some of these artists and a lot of these creators that I've been working with forever. I did a thing in the Build Tree booth, which is actually like a kind of funny story that I can get into in a minute. But I actually felt like the vibes were really good from the people who also came there for some sort of collective crypto art therapy, because I think I think the people who were there, particularly from our community, the cold crypto art community, the whip community, the people we came up with, these are the people who are in it for the long haul. And I think like a lot of us needed just to sort of get together and sort of circle the wagons and look at what each other are building and sort of get a sanity check. There was a cult crypto art dinner that was really, really great along those lines, as far as like, you're not even like interacting with people who haven't like been through some shit. And that was what I wanted to go to this one for. I wasn't really there for like the latest alpha or to hear like the latest speakers or whatever. I mean, we get that shit on the weekly basis, on the whip. But in terms of like getting the family reunion vibe back, getting back into the weeds with people like Nisla, man. I ran into him last year and I'm just like, dude, I fucking love talking to this dude. This dude is like as in the weeds as everybody. And I don't think we've had him on the whip in forever. But there's just so many people like that who are like out here and just love the tech and have been demoralized. Not saying this is demoralized, but like really, really love what this is all about. And so I don't know. It felt like a reset to me, like sort of getting back to basics. It did feel like we were either at the bottom or like I don't know. There's some sort of collective sense of dread or hope or a combination of the two is definitely going around.
I think we're gonna look back on this one as that was definitely bottom. Everyone was so sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
People cut their trips short.
Oh, what?
Like not like literally cut their trip short, but like people like just came in for less time. There was a lot of people who were like, "Yeah, I came for like a full week or like 5 days last time, but this time I'm just like in and out for the conference kind of thing." And I don't know. You get a sense like people just barely made it happen. It feels like what happened to NFT NYC, honestly, like 3 years ago or something like that, where it just like the vibe that was once there just like fizzled out like pretty rapidly.
Yeah, but I remember we went to some conferences in 2018, but I kind of picked up like a slight difference in back then. It felt like people were still very excited about what's to come, whereas I feel here it's less clear like what people believe is actually to come, right? And because the people feel, I wonder if this played out already. and maybe believe it's over, which I absolutely don't think, FYI. But
I think that's super interesting. Like, Johan, first of all, I'd like to hear more about the MemeCon portion of the actual conference that y'all put on. Like, what actually was that? What did I miss? Like, make me hate myself more for not going. But then also, like, what was the demographic of attendees? I know when we went a couple years ago, very crypto art focused, for the most part. There were some other projects there, like service providers, but they're still very like NFT projects. What was the composition like this year for attendees, projects, that stuff? So unpack the MemeCon and then a little more deep dive
so
into
MemeCon is like a part of the NFC conference. So it's like it is they like co-host, or not co-host, but they like come to different conferences and do like a part of it for a day or two. So they've done it, I think, in at a DevCon and some others. But it started, yeah. Not sure if it started at MC last year, but it was a part of the whole thing. And the demographic, I would say, yeah, how does it summarize it? Like crypto Twitter, sort of. It felt like there was a lot, in part, a lot of like DeFi. There were some panels that were talking about, oh yeah, KYC, it's actually not that bad. We need to, yeah, which felt very, yeah,
interesting.
Off when it comes to like memes and the meme market. But then there were also these like talks and communities that were presenting different things, like Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic 10 NU, and Honey Badger, and like a bunch of others that really I feel is at the core of crypto meme culture. And a lot of them were talking about, yeah, we need to, shine more light on the lore and the passion and the creativity around these things. And that's where I hope it will reset, sort of. Now you have the diehards that are still in it, and hopefully what they are passionate about is also what will sort of spread and fuel the next, the next phase, or whatever you want to call it. I have my theory is sort of around like the mimetic cinematic universe.
Unpack those theories. Like, where do you think it's going to go and unfold? Because we had that, like, last year in particular, people were coming for the money, right? The memes were secondary. The fact that memes were associated with something that was making money, it seemed like it drove all the interest. But to your point, like, there's some of these crypto memes and their communities that there's something more there. So what's your theory of where that all ends up going?
I have like one theory around, whatever it could be called, like a mimetic cinematic universe, or whatever, that is, it is like memes and meme coins, it is NFTs and crypto art, it is like the metaverse stuff, the stuff that is not, it is financial, but it is, people want to engage and hold it because of culture or passion or whatever it is. And my hope is that that combined story sort of is going to become the next it thing, or the next hype thing, because I think that will lift, it will lift meme coins, of course, but it will also lift NFTs and crypto art and like crypto culture art. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say like one part of that sort of ignited the NFT and crypto art hype last time. Am I wrong if I say that was in part like crypto voxel, seeing art displayed in a new way, sort of? And I hope that we're gonna have something similar where you have contexts to display these things, if that is in a metaverse, or maybe it is like natively in Telegram or Discord or these other chats, like these points of contact that are not only images and videos, but they're actually native to the medium, sort of, if that is what's going to ignite the next hype cycle for these things. But I do think
So
it's
what,
going to be tied around memetics and crypto culture and so on.
so where do you see the crypto voxels of like crypto memes being? Like, is that here today? Is it TBD, under construction?
I personally am a big fan of Hyperfy. I think their approach of having it open source is the way to go. It is what I think allows people to be passionate and confident enough that what they're creating is that they own it and they control it, sort of. But I don't know if it's necessarily like metaverse. I hope it is, but the counter argument to that is how far off are we from that sort of experiences in that are so good that the people are going to flock back. But it could also be, like I said, Telegram, for example. They've had some great early success in their version of NFTs and sort of on chain, which is it's a native way to display ownership, right? You have it in the chat and you post a GIF or a sticker, and it shows that, okay, I actually own this in a way that it doesn't if I don't own it. So yeah, we will see. And the same around meme coins. Right now, yeah, you can have them in your wallet, but what experiences and games and so on will be built on the meme coin ecosystem, because it is like a decentralized Disney in a sense. You have all these amazing characters that people care about, but it's largely untapped in terms of what unified experiences are built on top of that. So now I'm rambling, but yeah, let's just.
Oh, dude, can I go wide on this? Because I interviewed Johan about this type of stuff, like on the floor of NFC Summit, and I'm sort of like thinking about this as Johan was talking about this, why I had such like a great experience, and it really didn't feel like sad to me. And I feel like similar to ETH Denver, I got a similar feeling there, even though it was like not as well attended as it had been, and sort of felt like it was on a downswing. I felt like very like inspired coming away from there, and it was that type of shit, man. I was like, I interviewed people like Johan. I did an interview with Metageist, and like the vibe of the people who are there and who are in it enough to come to these things. I'm like, these are the motherfuckers I want to surround myself by, because you get Johan talking about this shit on the microphone, and you know, he's the most knowledgeable person out here, and he's like passionate about it. And like, you know, shout out Dragonate and Luke from Non-Fungibles. They were like recording all this in the Build Tree booth, and Metageist had just like hopped off a plane, and I was like, dude, get in here and like let me do an interview. And just like, you know, totally off the cuff, and Metageist just like, you know, crush this thing, dude, for like 30 minutes. And he's just going deep into, you know, all this like cutting edge stuff with, you know, 3D sculptures and AI and you know, VR using the Apple Vision Pro and shit that only like Metageist and like probably 10 other people on the planet, 9 of whom we probably know, are messing around with. And it was that and that kind of shit felt really good, man. I was you know, in the Build Tree booth with Leandro, and the plan was to like LARP on their booth and do some interviews with people after I had pushed the Rizzle memes with Barbie live, but I fucked up the drop, and instead Leandro and Zoop like live did a demo with me, like teaching me how to use Build Tree's platform, like dropping this Barbie meme project. And they're going to end up using it as their like demo on their platform to show audience people that even fucking Rizzle can figure out how to use their thing with a little hand holding or whatever. And it came out good, but again, man, I spent a whole lot of time like talking to Leandro and Zoop, and you know, these guys go way back and aren't going anywhere. And you know, I feel like, you know, there's certain times in the timeline where I'm like, these are the kind of people that I need to surround myself by. And ETH Denver really felt like it was that from a very like dev heavy side of things, in the sense of like, the people who are still at this conference building on the blockchain definitely aren't going anywhere. And as far as like culturally, I feel like if you show up to this conference, you're culturally relevant or trying very hard to be, and it felt like that, and like it's a very good distiller of bullshit, because there's not a lot of bullshit to be had out here, and this crowd isn't duped very easily off a lot of the garbage out there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Lisbon happening at the top of summer, essentially, when like summer is typically a downtime for crypto. Folks are rightfully so touching grass, touching water, sand, all the good things in life. If the vibes here will percolate. Also, like honestly, like Lisbon aside, the other and like the Basil's coming up, but Basil kind of is more established traditional art, fine art. Like there will be a digital art presence there, but aside from that, the next big event coming shortly is NFT NYC. Everyone I've talked to with that event in particular is like, yeah, I'm not going. Like I know very few people that aren't like physically located in that general vicinity that are going. And I'm really looking to see like, well, what actually ends up happening, and like if any reverberations stem from that in terms of what people infer from what happens or doesn't happen during that NFT NYC. But
that's how in the loop I am.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
don't
like
even
a
know what
couple
it is.
weeks. I think it's a couple weeks. So next week I think is Basel, and then the week after that, if I'm not mistaken, is actually NFT NYC. And it's just like several people have asked me, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going. I was there for the Purple conference for FarCon, and like that was it. Like that's what I wanted to go there for. Outside of that, there's very little reason to go. You can go to and meet all the friends like at Lisbon, right? For the most part, especially folks that probably won't make it across the pond. But would be very interested to see what happens actually NFT NYC.
Yeah, I have noticed I'm very close to NFT NYC. So if something does materialize or there's some reason to go, somebody hit me up. But I don't have any desire to go. I feel like I got my fill in Lisbon. Brookhawk came all the way across the pond, so I don't have to go to NYC to see him in a couple weeks. Shout out Brookhawk. Dude took like 1 trillion pictures on his actual like point and shoot camera from 2001 or something. They came out fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess Johan, for your purposes, so Lisbon wraps. So then, like, what are you focused on for the rest of the summer? Are you going back internally, focusing on meme, and then helping to build out some of that division you have with the mimetic cinematic universe, or like what
Yeah.
actually is your main focus?
Yeah, that's our focus. Hopefully we will launch something soon. Takes forever, it feels like, but we have some interesting stuff coming up, both on the digital side, but we also just closed a deal with a physical toy company that we're gonna produce some like meme figurine stuff. So I'm excited for that, but I'm also like very excited about what's gonna happen next. I feel like this is, peak, not despair maybe, but just apathy in terms of things that are not, say, Bitcoin. Now DeFi is waking up a bit with better regulations and stuff, but on the NFT metaverse, like that side, just when and where will the next spark be? That I'm very excited to see.
Same here. Yeah, a lot of interesting things happening all around, right? So it doesn't. The thing that gives me a little bit more hope is that the weight of expectations is not firmly upon any one segment of crypto, right? A lot of segments are doing a lot of heavy lifting. Like we're seeing this increased interest and activity and energy on the social side. We're seeing like Bitcoin sort of firmly establishing itself as this like digital gold store of value meme. We're seeing Ethereum itself take steps seemingly in a more energetic, focused direction. Solana, Salami still doing its thing over there. And then we have a bunch of artists that are sort of like rethinking what it means to be a digital artist that tokenizes work for this like universal archive in the future. So I'm sure a lot of this sort of like reflection will create and bear out in a much more positive way, hopefully, that lifts the spirits and like lifts the tides for a bunch of folks to feel more comfortable to come back and, give it another go, or to have one foot here and one foot in another part of life, which is sort of also the always on opportunity or benefit, if you will, of crypto, right? You can be here full time, which is like a cool thing, a feature, right? But you don't have to be. And maybe it's also beneficial for a lot more folks to split time. A lot of people lamenting going back to traditional galleries and 9 to 5s or whatever, but they're taking with them like this firm tether to this whole other universe, right? That's digital, always on, and permanent and ownable in a very interesting way. So I definitely side with Johan and Rizzle too. It's a glass half full type situation, but a very interesting time.
Dude, I'm gonna be like the real positive one here for the rare occasion. Dude, I really feel like we got to look at ourselves. Like seriously, man. Like the three of us, like literally the three of us, but also our community in general. Because every time these cycles bottom out, man, it's like all us and just us, and then all these people in from the outside and build these things that are like the exact same thing or on top of what we do, and they come in here and they take extract all this money and they dip and everything, and look at what the three of us are doing in this like dead ass market right now, Matt. Your shit is cooking right now over on Farcaster. Johan, all of this shit speaks for himself. And has been in the kitchen, forever. And we know that, man. But we also know what you're cooking and it's gonna ship. And dude, fucking me and Fabiano and Patricia and Fabiello, sold 600 babachis and counting. Slapping fucking stickers on fire hydrants and cranking out AI songs and guerrilla marketing that shit in Lisbon. And I really, really feel like we keep overlooking ourselves as the people who are the ones who actually get the ball rolling. But I really feel like all these cycles come back to us. And if it's not us doing it, it's people taking a look at what we're doing and just doing that better. So I'm like, who's cooking in the bear market better than we are? Like, not a whole hell of a lot of people out here. And if you can do that, man, I'm like, who should be cooking in the bear or the bull, whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Rizzle's a positive one for. I was like very tepid, like glass half full. Rizzle's like fucking bull case. Like we're fucking building this.
Yeah,
we're gonna make it happen,
dude. Yeah, dude, I got a fucking big ass tattoo from Solene. I was like, Skinny got one, and yeah, dude, and I'm like, you know what? I'm fucking all in on this shit, dude. Like, what the fuck am I doing? And then I saw Mr. C got one too. There's a whole lot on the Solene like Lisbon tattoo gang, cult crypto art at this point. And yeah, dude, I'm like it. And then she sold a bunch of art I saw on the back end of this thing too. And I'm like, Basilius is out here in the mix, man, making things happen for like so many people. And I'm just like, we've seen so many recreations with a bunch of fucking funding from a bunch of random people come in from the outside multiple times now, just doing exactly what we do. And I'm like, dude, this is us, man. We're doing this shit right now. Like not waiting for the money to come. not waiting for like the right time in the market. ETH is still fucking farting around below 3K for like a decade. No one's doing this shit but us, man.
Boom. Johan, any remarks you want to kind of close things? I mean, we can talk about the whip real quick. Although, like, this is going to go out after the whip because we don't have Dragonate trapped in the box anymore. He's gallivanting around Europe, having a great time. How dare he? How dare he? But Johan, do you want to any closing comments or maybe give us a fucking pessimist take? You know, we got Rizzle with the rose tinted glasses. We got me like
going hard
in the middle. Like Johan, like come on, like fucking take us to negative town before we wrap this.
That's hard. I've been very bullish this space for that. Yeah, but pessimist take that what we need for NFTs to sort of come back is the metaverse, and the metaverse is 10 to 20 years out.
Right, back to us. It's still us. It all points to us.
Yeah.
Right, to us.
So that would be a pessimistic take, but I don't think so. I'm excited, super excited.
There we go. And then for what you have upcoming, Johan, any links or any places that you want folks to start following, turn notifications on for? Never a bad thing to shout out the 4-character handle over on X, MEME, super badass. There you have that. Anyway, good shit, good chat, good follow up, good way to get a deeper dive, clearer picture of what actually what went down in Lisbon at NFC Summit. So appreciate both y'all and happy y'all.
In conclusion, no one knows.